The magnetic bodies. Every body, meaning every bit or collection of matter, has magnetic fields that form a toroid shape within our perception of the now. This may be a result of matter being crunched and light being stretched into existence as we orbit the center of all moments. It would appear as thin filaments connecting you to the energy of your creation, stemming from your electromagnetic center and then stretching to the edge of the universe and curling back to you as past and future overlap to create the now. These fields exist at many scales, from the infinitely small to infinitely large. And the smallest scales, our DNA has a field, and so does each individual cell. One scale up, and the human body's overall magnetic field is the summation of all cells and systems of the body. Each system is focused into its current position, and each system extends to the edge of our perception. The Earth also has a magnetic field, which is visibly the most apparent field to witness within our natural flows of space. Solar radiation follows the lines of magnetism as it reaches the Earth. It is then focused by the natural field of the Earth towards the poles. The interaction or interference between Earth's magnetic field and solar radiation causes the aurora borealis, which may be seen near the poles. The filaments of magnetic energy surrounding the Earth become apparent. The same is true for the Sun. It too has an overall magnetic field which may resemble that of the Earth and the human body. The galactic center also has a magnetic field, and so does the next body of rotation. All overlap and all add and subtract like pebbles undulating the fluid of our spacetime. Which direction does the magnetic field go once beyond our physical interpretations? Consider dark matter's 4/5 of the raw energy of creation orbiting beyond our dimension. It extends from the outer reaches of the lowerverse and spirals inward into the noviverse, and is only physical when within our dimension, or alpha, beta, and slow gamma states of perception. This means that our magnetic fields are extending beyond the physical realm in both directions, and interacting with every other magnetic field during the process. Half your field goes into less dense realms, and half your field goes into denser realms. The light and magnetism that extend into the less dense realms would be interacting with all the stars that we see when we look out. It would pass through the moon, as it may be considered a less dense version of Earth from our position within the crystal. From there, our field continues outward into distant galaxies and past the smooth cosmic microwave background. Your influence also extends into the denser realms of the noviverse that exist beyond our perception. Let's now trace that flow of energy. It starts from your center and drifts towards the greater densities. This would imply that it extends towards the center of the Earth. From there, it would follow the natural field lines and reach towards the Sun. After reaching the Sun's core, it extends to the center of our Milky Way galaxy. From there, it continues inward to the center of time. It is all in the now, and we experience a tiny sliver of information within our normal everyday experience of X, Y, Z, and T. This again highlights the importance of the circadian rhythm in relationship to connecting to the lowerverse and noviverse. Magnetic fields are a secondary byproduct of the natural orbits within time and emerge physically as perceptions are stretched and crunched. The Sun. We are connected to the Sun through light and through magnetism. Light travels in straight lines from the Sun to the Earth, while magnetism follows curvatures of our natural manifestation, appearing as filaments of sorts. It may be related to another orbit within time around a greater center and seems closer to the center than the source of light, which is our Sun. From this, it seems obvious that activity on the Sun and activity on the Moon may affect our personal magnetic fields and states of perception. Synchronizing light. One way to think about the aurora borealis is to think of it as light that is being created by the interaction of solar radiation attempting to harmonize with the natural fields of the Earth. Although not as grand in size, the same effect is true for any body or bit of matter within the solar system. Could a misalignment of your personal body to the natural energy of creation cause a similar effect? I would argue that it may be possible. As energy of your creation drifts inwards to focus your body into position, your personal postures of mind, body, and spirit may be at such a distance from your golden spot to create this effect. Essentially, as the energy spirals inwards towards our dimension, an individual may be far from their naturally focused center to create similar effects. guiding lights of wisdom. This basically means as you drift further and further from center and your body disconnects from the natural flows of creation, you may create sparks and streaks of light in the sky. At the same time, you would be stretching the normally compacted fields to create a region of stretching space. Then, as the energy enters your body, it would be highly distorting once more as it travels inwards towards the sun. With every push is a pull, and vice versa. As we stretch the fluid above, it would compact the fluid below, essentially bringing the noviverse and lowerverse into perception. Experiencing alternate dimensions. All bodies want to synchronize to create a fluid experience. Maintaining postures of delusions causes our bodies to misalign with the natural flows. Depending on how the body distorts the fluid is whether a less dense realm or denser realm may be perceived. These types of experiences typically will guide you back to the laminar flow, as it may be like the edges of our spiritual potential. Continuing onward in that direction will cause tight spirals of delusion. It is only when you let go of your push will you realign with the greatest orbits of experience. It is the physics of love. All benevolent spirit ultimately guide you to the laminar flow of your existence through karmic cycles of delusion. On the other hand, malevolent spirit may increase the spiraling nature of your days. As discussed in The Physics of Love, Synchronicity, these beings stem from maintained postures of delusions as time dilations exist between realms. We are all connected, and so a pacing in one will cause a pacing in another. This is why it's important to understand the pacing motions of your life. While undergoing a tight spiral, any and all other beings connected to you will also be affected, which increases the size this being may inhabit. These types of beings mostly relate to tulpa, jinn, and demons from religions as they are creations of human delusion and increase overall pacing. The easiest way to cleanse yourself of these tight spirals is to connect to the greatest flows of our experience, referring to watching the sun rise and set, and properly tuning your circadian rhythm. Aligning the body, in all three, mind, body, and spirit, is key. Tools for aligning body. There are many ways to align the body. The most important aspect is being in tune with the natural flows of spacetime. Again, referring to aligning the circadian rhythm to the rising and setting of the sun. Seeing as we are all connected through magnetic fields extending to infinity, we see that the distortions created by individuals may be felt across the planet. They are like pebbles being tossed into a pond that then ripple outward. The pull of an individual may cause the push of another. Simply existing within proximity of one undergoing pacing may cause your energies to misalign. This is where we may create tools to help prevent electromagnetic interference of a location. Geometric structures made of dense materials will reorganize and smoothen the flow of spacetime. Perhaps we may take notes from our ancient human friends who built the giant pyramids and other megalithic structures which were aligned to celestial bodies. To think the sun, moon, and stars have zero effect on our manifestation is to not be thinking at all. Physically, we are all one awareness, all connected through light, sound, and magnetism. A breath of perception. All perceptions of matter, light, magnetism, and sound are secondary to the primal flows of creation. This means that our perception of the now is secondary to the greatest vortex of all moments. From this greatest vortex, relational dimensions of perceived matter and light emerge, as in cycles of galactic formations, like the sun's rotation around the galactic center, the Earth's rotation about the sun, the human body about the center of the Earth, the moon around the Earth, and all relativistic motions are created. Matter and its motions are secondary aspects that are then perceived by the body. Knowing this, we may work backwards and uncover greater insight into the perceived expansion of the universe. From the fifth dimension, we see that the perceived size of the universe is directly related to our greatest inertial reference frame. From our perception, this could be considered the black hole in our galactic center, although greater orbits do exist that are unobservable. Our conscious system takes 25,920 years to orbit within the fifth dimension. Just like all orbits of creation, they are not perfectly circular. For example, As the Earth orbits the Sun, there is a moment when it is furthest from the Sun. This distance is called aphelion. There is also a moment in the orbit when the Earth is closest to the Sun. This distance is called perihelion. The same is true for the conscious system as it orbits the center of all moments. Half of our precessional cycle consists of drifting closer to the center, and half of it is related to drifting further away. Again, to emphasize, all these motions are secondary to the greatest vortex of all moments. Perception of matter and light are related to our inertial reference frame. As we drift closer to the center during perihelion, the universe would appear to be expanding. We are moving into a stronger gravitational field, which would cause the stretching and crunching of the raw fluid to be more dramatic. We are heading towards a denser realm. As we move away from conscious center towards aphelion, we would be undergoing less gravitational pull from the vortex. This implies that the universe would appear to slow down in its expansion, or that it may appear to be contracting. It's as if our perception of the universe breathes as we drift in and drift out. For 12,960 years we drift inward, and for 12,960 years we drift outward. Currently, within our perception, we are drifting inward and the universe appears to be expanding. The universe breathes as we orbit, expanding and contracting on regular time cycles. The stability of our existence relies on the regular nature of this breath, which creates a regular breath around the sun and a regular breath through our day, which translates to a regular breath of our body. The human breathes. How does this translate back to our body? On average, a human takes a breath once every 4 seconds. This translates into 15 breaths every minute, which then goes to 900 breaths an hour and ultimately 21,600 breaths a day. The Earth can be broken into 360 degrees. Each degree can be broken into 60 minutes. In standard literature, 1 nautical mile is 1 minute at the equator. The circumference of the Earth is 21,639 nautical miles. This means as the Earth rotates, every breath we take is related to 1 minute of arc or 1 nautical mile. It's essentially 1 breath per mile of rotation. Let's now look at the human heart. A healthy person properly aligned with the natural conscious fields has a heartbeat of 60 times in a minute. This translates to 3,600 heartbeats an hour, which goes to 86,400 heartbeats a day. When relating this to our conscious orbits, you could say that half of the day we are moving towards denser realms and half the day we are moving towards less dense realms. This translates into 43,200 heartbeats for each half of the day. It is interesting to relate this number of conscious snapshots we take as we walk a mile, which is also 43,200. The difference between heartbeats and conscious snapshots is 60 times. For every breath, we have 4 heartbeats. For every heartbeat, we have 60 conscious snapshots. Let's now divide our 25,920-year precessional cycle by 60 and we get 432 years. We will return to this. This number, 432, is the center of most musical instruments and is properly tuned to the human body. It is the middle A on a piano that is used to then tune the rest of the system. It harmonizes with the conscious snapshot, the human heartbeat, and the precessional cycle of our system. The sun and moon. Another interesting point which is also secondary to the conscious fields is our perception of the sun and the moon. Both have the same apparent size in our sky. This is because the diameter of the body and distance are perfectly proportional. If you multiply the diameter of the sun by 108, you will derive the sun to Earth distance. You can then do the same with the moon. The moon's diameter times 108 equals the distance from the Earth to the moon. This is not coincidence and is a secondary result to the already existing flows of space before the human body evolved. Conscious snapshot of the Earth. Consider our breath of air in relationship to the greatest conscious center. We breathe once every 4 seconds. The heart beats once a second. Our consciousness takes a picture 60 times in a second. If we say that the 25,920-year cycle is a breath, then by dividing by 4, we get the length of the heartbeat, which is 6,480 years. We then divide that by 60 to get the conscious snapshot of time, which becomes 108 years. We could also say that the processional cycle relates to a heartbeat. If you divide 25,920 years by 60, you get 432 years per conscious snapshot of the Earth. The primal vortex. All aspects of our experience are secondary to the primal vortex of creation. Matter, electromagnetism, and sound all emerge from this raw fluid, stretching and crunching perceptions into existence. Are the stars really light years away? What is space? What is time? And what is distance? Aren't they all secondary aspects to the already existing flows of consciousness? Isn't the space between atoms relatively the same as the space between galaxies? Are the stars not merely inches away within the fifth dimension of conscious density? Isn't it all a relative scenario? Let's now continue on our conscious journey as we explore the true nature of spirit, creation, and the primal vortex of time.